Alright, let's continue with using bind variables. Now I will teach you bind variable subject that's helpful for both performance and multi-block reach. Actually, I will not talk about its performance for now. We will see how it is important in performance, but it's so early for now. You just know that it increases performance. Bind variables are the variables that you create in a host environment. As it's created in an environment, it can be used or changed by multiple subprograms. Normally, a variable can be reached only in its scope, but your bind variable scope is your whole worksheet. You can use bind variables just like other variables in SQL and PL/SQL. Let's now create and use bind variables in SQL Developer. We declare our variables outside of our blocks, actually before our blocks. This is not a PL/SQL variable. This is a host variable. So we define this variable outside of our blocks. But we can use these variables inside SQL or PL/SQL queries. We can declare a variable, but we cannot initialize at the same time. So let's declare our variable now. We just write variable and let's say var text. Let's say varchar to 30. We run variable calls with F5 or this button. Otherwise, SQL Developer asks from you to enter the bind variables values, but you will fill them inside our blocks. So simply select the part you will run and hit this button. Let's simply run that code. We will not see any message. This is normal. If no errors, that means our code works successfully. Now we have our variable and we can use it in our whole worksheet, not in the others, only in this one. Now let's continue coding. We reached this variable by writing a column before its name. Let's assign a value for this variable. A column before this variable, and our variable name var text is equal to hello PL SQL, for example. And our end. As we can see, the assignment is the same. We just write a column before the name. Let's execute this. As we can see, no problem. Let's try to use in different ways. First, let's assign it into a PL/SQL variable. But before that, let's run our set store output on command to get outputs from DBMS output package. Let's run that first for this session. Let's declare our variable now. This is a PL/SQL variable, so we just write declare and let's say that we text. This is varchar2 and let's say 30. Now let's assign this variable into the new PL/SQL variable. We text is equal to column var text. And let's DBMS output put line our new PL/SQL variable. We underscore text. Let's now run this code. As we can see, we could assign that into a variable and print it. So can we print the bind variable too? Let's try. Let's copy paste DBMS output and try to print our bind variable. Var underscore text. Let's clear up here and run it again. Yeah, we could do that. Pretty good. But with this way, we can print this variable inside a block. But bind variables are block-free variables, so we should print that variable with some other methods. This is print command. We simply write print and our variable name. Let's print it. We just write print our variable name, which is var text. Let's clear up here and run it again. Yes, that prints our bind variable in a different format and free from a block. Can we print that in another worksheet? Let's try. Let's copy that and open up a new worksheet and paste and run it. As we can see, the bind variable is not declared, so we cannot reach from the other worksheets, but we can reach it in another block in a worksheet. So let's close this worksheet now. Is there another way to print bind variables? Yes, there is one more. Setting autoprint on. We simply run set autoprint on command. We simply run set autoprint on command for once, like set server output on command. Let's run it first and run our command again. Alright, we could succeed it. Now let's run our code again. As we can see, our variable is printed without executing print command. Setting autoprint on command prints all declared bind variables wherever it sees the variable. That means if you called your variable names for 3 times, it's printed for 3 times. Calling means assigning or referencing your variables. Not important. If the name is there, it is printed. To see that, let's declare a number type variable and comment the dbms output. Now I'm commenting these dbms outputs. Let's clear here and let's run our variable declaration first. Now let's run our code again. Yes, our number is called for once and printed for once. Our text passed for 2 times, so it is printed in twice. I want to say something important in here. We can assign a maximum value for varchar2, but we cannot assign a maximum value or precision scale for numbers and bind variables. We can just write number. Now let's try. Let's write number 30 in here again. As we can see, we got an error. Let's try the date now. Variable we date. As we can see, we got an error again. We cannot create all types with bind variables. We can create only these types. These types are that we can create our bind variables with. Besides, we cannot directly assign a value for our bind variables. We need to do assignment in a begin end block. We can use our bind variables with SQL queries. Let's make an example for that. Let's lay it all here and clear up here. Let's write variable var underscore SQL and number. Let's run it first. And now let's write our begin end keyword. Now let's write our select query. As we can see, we got only the employee whose employee ID equals to our bind variable value, just like other variables. So this is the end of the lesson. See you in our next lessons.